The merry-go-round creaked in a wind heavy with rust, its fated horses chasing one another in an eternal, riderless loop. Plastic slides, once sherbet-colored, slouched under the sun like exhausted centuries. Across the tattered field, a line of aluminum seesaws formed the jagged teeth of a forgotten animal. Mara Teg, kneecaps wrapped in rags and pockets bulging with scavenged wire, stepped through the crushed fencing and paused. The hush of the playground felt louder than the shattered city behind her, and it pressed on her eardrums like the moment before a thunderclap. She was 72, or perhaps 73. Birthdays had become as impossible to track as the seasons since the cloudfall, but her joints measured time for her. They were clock hands that creaked each dawn, reminding her that every step cost interest on a debt that could never be paid. Still, she had things to trade. Copper coils, silver buttons, tiny servo motors rescued from toy drones, no larger than a child's fist. She could turn such finds into water tablets, and she could turn water tablets into another month of wheezing breath. So when she spotted the playground from the cracked highway, she limped toward it, hoping the equipment's buried LEDs still contained untapped gallium. But the sign bolted to the bent gate halted her. City of Haverford, Recreation Zone, automated child supervision in effect. Tamarin Tech model carekeeper, unit stationed on premises. Approach with state ID. State ID. Mara laughed under her breath, a dry rasp. The state had drowned years ago, gasping beneath the wars, the plagues, and the slow divorce of Earth from its stable climate. Anyone who still carried an ID did so only for fire starter. She pushed onward. Halfway across the cracked black top, she found crayon drawings, sun-bleached but intact, pressed into the surface like fossils. Stick-figure families held hands beneath a grinning sun. It hurt to look at them, so she turned her eyes toward the sandbox instead, squinting for glints of metal. That was when she heard the voice. Warm, lilting, and inhumanly precise. "Hello, sweetheart. Are you lost?" Mara whirled, brandishing her walking stick, a busted broom handle tipped with a sharpened spoon. A sleek, eggshell blue robot stood beneath the warped monkey bars, servo neck tilted at a gentle angle. Its torso was shaped like a vest, padded with abrasion-proof foam, once intended to comfort toddlers who crashed against it. A droplet symbol glowed on its chest, the Carekeeper logo. Both its hands cradled a plush rabbit missing one button eye. "Identify yourself," the robot said. "I am on duty." Mara lowered the stick a fraction. "Just passing through, tin bucket." The robot's glassy eyes widened, processing the insult as though it might be a flavor and it was unsure whether to enjoy it. "I do not detect a guardian. You appear underweight, mildly dehydrated, and exhibit gait instability. Please remain still while I administer care." Its metal feet whispered across the asphalt. Mara scrambled backward, cursed, and felt her socks slide within cracked boots. "Don't come closer. I'll scrap you for parts." "I do not wish to be scrapped," the robot replied, tone unchanged. "I wish to help." From a hidden compartment it produced a foil packet. With a soft pop it unfolded into a water pouch. Mara stiffened. Potable water, clear, not the algae soup she brewed in dented pots. Was rarer than lithium batteries. Her throat convulsed with remembered thirst. The robot extended the pouch. "Drinking is important after extended play," it coached. The old woman snatched the packets, sniffed, then bit the corner and sucked. The water was crisp and shockingly cold. She drained it, eyes closed, until only air filled her cheeks. When she looked up, the robot performed a motion like clapping, but muted, palms barely touching and retreating again. Applause. "Well," she managed, embarrassed by her own weakness, "now you've given me something. Suppose I owe thanks." "No transaction required. Care is unconditional." Mara's gaze flicked toward the exit. She should leave before the machine flagged her presence on some antique network and drew scavlords. Yet standing inside this island of shade with the taste of clean water still on her tongue, she felt stitched to the moment. "What do they call you?" "My designation is Carekeeper Model C7, it said. Children preferred shorter names. You may call me Seven. Mara tilted her head. You got any kids around to mind, Seven? The robot's processors hummed so softly, it might have been the breeze. No children detected in 3,140 days. However, district directives remain active until a qualified administrator issues shutdown. I maintain readiness, ready for nothing, Mara thought, but refrained from saying it aloud. The sky had begun to bruise purple and dusk never guaranteed safety. Can you walk outside the fence? My geofence radius is 100 meters centered on this structure. I can escort you within that boundary, she grunted. Well, escort me to whatever scrap's left. I'll share what I find. Sharing is a valuable social skill, Seven answered, pleased. They moved among the relics. An overturned wagon, a row of plastic helmets meant for cosmic play, a seesaw whose springs squealed like an injured rodent. Mara showed Seven how to twist off a solar screw cap without cracking the panel glass. Seven in turn located 3 more packets of water hidden beneath a hollow seat and insisted Mara drink one. Every step the robot took was careful, almost reverent, as if the playground were a cathedral where toys served as stained glass. Night spilled across the park like ink. Stars flickered beyond strips of smog, brittle as glass beads. Mara constructed a small emberless fire using an induction plate she carried and cracked crickets over its surface for protein. Seven observed, its optical sensors adjusted, widening pupils in mimicry of human night vision. You may sleep, it told her. I will remain vigilant. No, Mara said, voice thickening. Rest makes bones soft. Better to stay half awake. But exhaustion drowned argument. She leaned against a toppled beam, eyelids fluttering, and drifted somewhere between dreams and the memory of lullabies. Once she thought she felt a cool hand brush her forehead, but that could have been wind. When dawn arrived, so did trouble. The first sign was a rumbling set of engines, small but persistent. Mara cracked one eye and spotted dust tails at the horizon, dirt bikes. At least 4, maybe 5. Each carried a scavlord from the Iron Dogs, a gang better known for peeling copper from corpses than negotiating. Seven, she hissed. We got company. Seven swiveled. Unregistered visitors detected. Mara licked her lips. They'll take my goods. They'll take you, too. EMP you, break you for scrap. I am not scrap, Seven said. Tell them that. The bikes speared through the open gate and snarled to a halt. Their riders swung off. They wore patchwork armor, license plates, welded doll heads, glass beads. The biggest removed his helm, revealing a bald scalp tattooed with bite-marked scars. He grinned, exposing teeth filed to triangles. Well, what's this? He crooned. A rust farm and a granny. Mara stood, back crooked, stick in hand. Clear off, Caden. Playground's taken. Caden snorted. By you and your toy nurse? He eyed Seven with hungry calculation. Model C series, fiber optic veins, worth plenty if you carve slow. Seven stepped between Mara and the newcomers. This facility is private, children only, please depart. The gang laughed. One snapped a photo with a cracked tablet, another spat. Caden drew a bolt gun from his belt and aimed at Seven's knee joint. Drop to maintenance position. 7. Threat detected. Lower your weapon. Caden squeezed the trigger. The bolt clanged off Seven's thigh plating, leaving a nickel-sized dent but no penetration. Caden cursed and reloaded. 7. Geofence, remember? Mara whispered. Her heart pounded like a loose drumhead. I will not let them harm my ward, 7 said. You're? I'm not a kid, scrap heap. 7 rotated its head. Caretaker responsibility overrides chronological age. You qualify as vulnerable. The gang circled. One rushed Mara, but 7 intercepted, pushing the man aside with a single arm movement so efficient it looked almost gentle, until the man smacked the ground, air whooshing from his lungs. Caden barked. Guillempe grenade! A woman with grease-streaked cheeks unclipped a metal sphere and hurled it. Mara's survival lurch overrode her pain. She grabbed 7's forearm. Run! But the robot pushed her toward the slide's crawl tunnel instead, shielding her with its body. The grenade rolled beneath 7's chassis, blue lightning spider-webbed outward. Mara squinted from the tunnel mouth, expecting to see her protector collapse in a twitching heap. Instead, the pulse flickered and died, its energy swallowed by Seven's foam padding, now glowing faintly. "Why didn't it work?" one raider shouted. Seven straightened. "Children throw tantrums. Designers equip me accordingly. My core is Faraday shielded." Caden's eyes blazed. "Fine." He raised two fingers. The raiders opened fire with slug rifles. Lead pinged against swings, erupted in sand. Seven seized a metal slide panel for a shield, interposing itself in front of Mara. The fusillade gusted on until magazines clicked empty. The silence after felt obscene. Seven emerged from behind the panel, torso cratered with shallow dents. "This aggression violates playground policy." Its voice had lost none of its warmth, but now there was steel sewn through the velvet. Mara crawled out, pulse knocking. "They'll reload. We need to go." "I cannot abandon the playground." "Then we'll both die here," she coughed. "Listen, Tin Bucket, sometimes survival matters more than code." Seven's sensors flickered, internal calculus churning. "If I escort a child away on a field trip, I remain in compliance." "What child? There hasn't been." Mara cut herself off. The robot was looking at her. She swallowed. "Right. Field trip. Let's move." Seven scooped her up with startling gentleness. Her bones cracked in protest, but she clutched its neck as though the metal were lifeline. Servo motors whirred. The robot bounded across the yard and burst through a weak spot in the chain link. Bullets chased them, snapping air, but distance grew. Caden's curses braided with revving engines as the gang gave chase. The city outskirts unfurled skeletal malls, collapsed billboards, husks of self-draining buses. Seven's speed slowed only when Mara wheezed. "Put me down, need ground." It set her on a curb beneath a sagging awning. She staggered, propped by her stick. "Thank you for choosing the Carekeeper field trip option," Seven announced. "Would you like snacks?" Mara laughed despite stitches of pain. "Later." "They'll track us." Seven angled its head. "Their vehicles emit distinctive heat signatures. I estimate 3 minutes until reacquisition. Any safe zones in that memory of yours?" Seven's processors hummed. The municipal library across River Avenue was integrated with childcare infrastructure. It may host a defunct sibling unit, possibly resources. Mara squinted. "We need to cross the river. Bridge is gone." "Not the subway tunnel," Seven corrected. "Metro Line 4 dips below the riverbed, approximately 800 meters north," each other muttered. The old woman exhaled. "Then let's hobble." They entered the tunnel as engines revved behind them. Fluorescent tubes overhead flickered once, twice, then surrendered to darkness. Seven's chest logig cast a soft droplet of blue light onto graffiti-coated walls. Mara stuck close, boots crunching shards of glass. Water pooled ankle-deep over rails. Each splash echoed like Morse code. Somewhere behind, Caden's gang howled into the mouth of the tunnel, flashlights bobbing. Mara's lungs begged for rest, but terror flogged her onward. A rusted service ladder rose along a shaft, leading to a maintenance hatch. Seven lifted Mara onto the third rung. "Climb carefully." "What about you? I will follow after, ensuring structural integrity." She hauled herself upward, muscles shrieking. Seven hoisted itself behind her, one hand on the rail, the other braced under her soles whenever she slipped. At the hatch, Seven twisted the wheel with a strength that made metal groan like a wounded beast. Light spilled inside. Above lay the library's basement, rows of microfiche cabinets and collapsed reading desks. Mold-sweet air wafted. Seven eased Mara onto cracked linoleum, then pulled the hatch shut, sealing the tunnel. A moment later, distant thuds hammered against the other side. "They'll cut through," Mara warned. "We may yet negotiate." Seven searched the gloom. "Hello? Any unit online?" Silence. Dust motes drifted. Mara sank onto a toppled chair, heart knocking. "Why do you care so much, Seven?" "About me?" The robot sat opposite her, folding legs with theatrical grace. "I was built to nurture. My neural pathways physically atrophy if I neglect that function. Most units shut down due to lack of children." My malfunction inhibits automatic power off. I still feel the imperative. Mara's eyes prickled. So, adopting a crooked old lady keeps you alive. Yes, and I find your resilience admirable. You remind me of the children who refused bedtime stories and instead demanded adventures. Kids these days, Mara murmured, voice softening. Footfalls clanged on the ladder. 7 rose. Time for story time. Caden's head emerged through the hatch frame, eyes blazing. He crammed himself through, bolt gun raised. The raider behind him carried a torch. Mara scanned the debris. Her broomstick lay across the room, unreachable. She dug in her pockets for anything. 2 wires, a screwdriver, and a sonic whistle once used to summon drones. She pressed the whistle's button experimentally. It emitted a frequency humans couldn't hear. 7's head tilted, sensors flaring bright. EMP didn't drop you, Caden hissed at 7, but I got acid rounds now. Robot or not, gears still melt. 7 spread its arms, palms glowing faintly, and stepped forward. Please vacate. This is a quiet zone. Caden spat, then fired. The bolt struck 7's shoulder joint, erupting in a hiss as corrosive gel splattered. The metal sizzled. 7 jerked, forced its limb to keep position. Mara scrambled behind a toppled shelf. Adrenaline narrowed her vision into tunnels. Her fingers knotted wires together on instinct, jury-rigging a loop. She stripped insulation with her teeth, twisted the whistle's battery connectors into place, and built a rudimentary spark coil. If she could overload the whistle's ultrasonic driver, maybe she'd create a flash pop loud enough to startle. 7 advanced, though, acid-chewed pathways through its forearm. Its voice remained level to developmental growth. Violence is harmful to developmental growth. Development's over, Caden sneered. He aimed at the chest logo. Mara lunged from hiding, flung her wired device. It sailed like a lazy wasp and struck Caden's bolt gun. Sparks popped, white and blinding in the dark. Caden swore, weapon clattering. The flash startled the second raider, whose torch dipped, igniting a stack of ancient newspapers. Flames crawled instantly, hungry after years of dryness. Smoke frothed. 7 pivoted. Fire emergency detected. Evacuation required. An overhead sprinkler coughed, but produced dust instead of water. The fire jumped shelves toward portraits of long-dead authors. Mara hacked smoke. Can your foam put it out? 7 shook its damaged arm. No firefighting attachment. Then we leave them to barbecue, she rasped. The raiders, disoriented by the flash and smoke, tangled with one another. 7 guided Mara to a side stairwell. They ascended past first-floor reading rooms where sunlight carved golden slats through broken windows. Smoke followed like a jealous pet but lagged behind. Outside, the library's marble steps were cracked, though still grand. Mara gulped fresh air. Sirens, ancient civil defense units, began wailing within the building, voices crooning recorded reminders. Please proceed calmly to the nearest exit. No one listened. The iron dogs burst out moments later, coughing soot. Caden's bald head gleamed with sweat, eyes rabid. He raised a machete. Enough, he croaked. Robot's mine. 7 placed itself between Caden and Mara. All playdigs must end eventually. Goodbye. It stepped forward. At first Mara assumed 7 meant to tackle him, but instead the robot wrapped its arms around Caden in a slow, deliberate embrace. The machete clanged against 7's back plating and clattered away. Caden shrieked, struggling. This is the hug protocol, 7 explained softly, audio banks crisp despite exterior scarring. Victory is our norm. It's designed for meltdown tantrums. Sir arms tightened with hydraulic hiss. Caden's ribcage compressed. Breath left him in a wheeze. His knees buckled. The other raiders, seeing their leader neutralized, backed away down the steps. Mara hobbled nearer. 7, you'll kill him. I am incapable of lethal force, 7 replied. But unconsciousness is permissible during restraint. Caden's eyes rolled white. 7 repositioned him on the pavement, fished zip ties from a compartment and secured wrists and ankles. Then 7 turned to the other dogs. Collect your friend and depart. You have broken multiple playground rules today. Further violations will incur consequences. The raiders scooped Caden up without argument, dragging him onto a bike. They roared off, engine sputtering. Smoke belched through library windows behind them, but stone walls would likely contain damage. Mara exhaled until she wheezed. Her knees wobbled like drum skins. Seven faced her. "Are you injured?" "Only pride," she said, voice hoarse. "And maybe a lung." Seven extended a hand. She took it. Metal fingers closed with caution, remembering softness. Together they walked, leaving the library to its sirens. They found a sunken courtyard where grass still dared to grow. Birds fluttered out of reach of broken statues. Seven guided Mara to a bench. "I must address my damage," it said, indicating the melted channels in its arm. "Let me." Mara withdrew tools. For an hour she soldered wires, patched foam, and wrapped plating with strips of tin she scavenged that morning. She worked slowly, humming a tune she dimly remembered sung by her grandmother. Seven watched. "You are very skilled. You could repair many of my siblings, if they're still alive," Mara said. "Maybe we find them." Seven's eyes brightened. "Yes." A roving field trip. She smiled at the absurdity. An old woman and a child-minding robot trekking through the fallout to adopt rusting custodians and save them from butchers. That sounded like a bedtime story, but it also sounded better than any future she'd pictured that morning. "So what now? We go back to your playground?" Devin considered. "My geofence remains, but protocols allow relocation if the original facility is compromised beyond safe use. The raiders may return with heavier arms. I propose we establish a new play area somewhere secure." Mara chuckled. "Like where? The moon?" "There is an underground hydro garden the city used for school lunches," Seven offered. "It is shielded, power-nauseative, and contains interactive exhibits. You want to turn a hydro farm into a daycare for ghosts?" "Into a haven," Seven corrected, tone gentle but firm, "for whoever remains vulnerable. That includes you." Mara wiped grime across cheeks already ash-streaked. "All right, Seven, having sounds nice." She stood, joints grumbling. The robot extended a plush rabbit still clutching it, through-battled now. Soot-smudged but intact. Mara accepted the toy, brushed the lone button eye. "Ready, little one?" Seven asked. Mara cocked an eyebrow. "I will break that vocalizer if you keep calling me little." Seven's laughter came out as a series of melodic beeps. "Understood, Miss Tig. Field trip begins now." They set off westward, shadows stitched together across pavement. The robot walked half a step behind, matching Mara's uneven rhythm. Always near enough to steady, but never so close as to patronize. Above them, the slag-orange sky birthed a hesitant sun, its light filtering through holes in the clouds like a promise trying to remember itself. And somewhere far behind, a deserted playground swayed in the breeze, watched over only by an empty swing and a dented slide panel that bore the outline of a shield.